Mercury in the third house of a natal chart is one of the most harmonious and potent positions in astrology. Because Mercury is the natural ruler of the third house, and the sign of Gemini, it is accidental dignity here. This means the planet of communication is sitting in its own office, with all its favorite tools at its disposal. It creates an individual whose life is defined by the movement of information, the nuances of language, and a restless, electric intellectual curiosity. The architect of information. At its core, Mercury in the third house indicates a mind that never truly rests. For these individuals, the world is a giant puzzle of data points waiting to be connected. They possess a linear kind of brilliance, excellent at logic, categorization, and spotting patterns in their immediate environment. Unlike a ninth house Mercury, which seeks the grand truth of philosophy, a third house Mercury is interested in the functional truth. They want to know how things work, why people say what they say, and what the quickest route is from point A to point B. This placement often produces a jack-of-all-trades mentality. They are polymaths by nature, gathering bits of trivia, technical skills, and linguistic flair. However, the shadow side of this abundance is a tendency toward mental scattering. Because everything is interesting, focusing on one thing until mastery is achieved can feel like a chore. Communication and social style. Communication isn't just a skill for these people, it is their primary mode of existence. They are often gifted talkers, writers, or teachers. Their speech is usually rapid, punctuated by gestures, and driven by a need to be understood precisely. The social butterfly, they are often the connectors in their social circles. They know the news, the gossip, and the latest trends before anyone else. The power of persuasion, because they understand the mechanics of language, they can be incredibly persuasive. They know exactly which words will trigger a specific response. Digital fluency. In the modern age, this placement often manifests as a high level of digital literacy. They are the masters of the quick text, the witty tweet, or the perfectly curated email. The immediate environment and siblings. The third house governs our neighborhood, both literally and figuratively. This includes siblings, cousins, and early childhood peers. Mercury here suggests a childhood defined by high mental stimulation. Perhaps there were many books in the house, or the family moved frequently, forcing the child to adapt and communicate in new environments. Relationships with siblings are usually a focal point. There is often a mercurial quality to these bonds, lots of talking, perhaps some competitive intellectual sparring, or a sibling who embodies Gemini traits, restless, witty, or perhaps a bit flighty. In many cases, the sibling acts as a primary mirror for the individual's own intellectual development. The nervous system and movement. Mercury rules the nervous system, and in the third house of motion, this can result in a high-strung or buzzy physical energy. These individuals often have a literal need for movement to think clearly. They might find their best ideas come while driving, walking, or commuting. There is a restlessness here that can border on anxiety if the mind isn't given enough food. If they are stuck in a repetitive, silent environment, they can become irritable or prone to nervous tics. They require a constant stream of new stimuli, new podcasts, new books, or new scenery to keep their internal gears from grinding. Intellectual maturity and integration. As the individual matures, the challenge of Mercury in the third house is to move from information to wisdom. It is easy for them to collect facts, but harder to synthesize them into a deep, soulful understanding. They must learn to quiet the monkey mind that wants to jump from branch to branch and instead practice the art of deep listening. When this Mercury is well aspect, it produces someone who is not only a brilliant communicator but a vital bridge between people. They are the translators of the world, taking complex ideas and making them accessible, relatable, and, most importantly, mobile. They remind us that the world is a vastly interconnected web of ideas, and that a single well-placed word has the power to change a life. When Mercury resides in the third house, the sign it occupies colors the flavor of the native's thought process and how they navigate their local environment. Here is a brief look at this placement through every sign. Aries, thinking is fast, assertive, and often impulsive. They speak with pioneer energy, preferring directness over diplomacy, and likely made decisions very quickly as a child. Taurus, mental processes are deliberate and cautious. They possess a common sense intelligence and a rhythmic way of speaking, though they can be stubborn once an opinion is formed. Gemini, here Mercury is at its peak, electric, multitasking, and endlessly curious. They are the ultimate information sponges, though they may struggle with a restless nervous system. Cancer, thought is deeply tied to memory and emotion. They communicate with a nurturing tone and often have an intuitive, almost psychic way of picking up on the moods of their neighbors or siblings. Leo, communication is dramatic, warm, and authoritative. They have a flair for storytelling and public speaking, often viewing their ideas as an extension of their personal pride. Virgo, precise, analytical, and highly organized. They have a detective mind for details and are excellent at technical writing, editing, or any task requiring extreme mental accuracy. Libra, thinking is focused on balance, justice, and social harmony. They are the ultimate diplomats of the third house, always weighing both sides of an argument before speaking. Scorpio, the mind is a deep-sea probe. They are interested in secrets, psychology, and what lies beneath the surface. Their speech is often intense, private, or piercingly honest. Sagittarius, intellectual focus is on the big picture. They communicate with humor and philosophical flair, though they may overlook small details in favor of grand ideas. Capricorn, thinking is structured, pragmatic, and goal-oriented. They speak with an air of maturity and are often respected for their no-nonsense approach to learning and logistics. Aquarius, the mind is unconventional and future-leaning. They are the out-of-the-box thinkers who enjoy debating social issues or exploring niche, eccentric topics. Pisces, communication is poetic, non-linear, and imaginative. They may struggle with dry facts but excel at understanding metaphors, symbols, and the unspoken feelings of those around them. When Mercury transits the third house, the planet of communication returns to its home turf. This is a period characterized by a significant uptick in mental activity, local movement, and social exchange. It is as if the cosmic volume has been turned up on your immediate surroundings, forcing you to engage with the world in a faster, more detailed, and highly verbal way. The mental quickening. During this transit, your brain typically shifts into a higher gear. You may find yourself juggling multiple ideas, projects, or conversations simultaneously. This is an ideal time for intellectual heavy lifting. Learning and curiosity, you are more likely to pick up a new book, start a short course, or fall down an informational rabbit hole. The mind is hungry for fresh data. Problem solving, logic feels sharper. If you have been stuck on a logistical puzzle, the transit of Mercury through the third house often provides the aha moment through a conversation or a random piece of news. The shadow side, the risk here is mental burnout. With the nervous system firing so rapidly, there is a tendency toward anxiety, insomnia, or scatterbrain syndrome if you don't find a productive outlet for the energy. Communication and connection. The third house governs our most frequent interactions, neighbors, siblings, and coworkers. When Mercury passes through, these relationships become more active. The busy inbox, expect an increase in emails, texts, and phone calls. You are in demand socially and professionally. Sibling dynamics. This is often a time when you reconnect with a sibling or cousin. Conversations may be more frequent, or you might find yourselves collaborating on a shared project. Clarifying the air. Because Mercury is the messenger, this transit is a prime window for clearing up misunderstandings. You have the verbal dexterity to explain your point of view with more clarity than usual. Movement and local affairs. Since the third house rules short-distance travel, this transit often manifests as a busy schedule filled with errands and mini trips. The commuter's transit, you might find yourself driving more, exploring new parts of your neighborhood, or dealing with paperwork involving your vehicle. Logistics and coordination. It is an excellent time to organize your workspace, update your calendar, or streamline your daily routine. Mercury likes efficiency, and in the third house, it wants your day-to-day life to run like a well-oiled machine. Integration, making the most of the transit. A Mercury transit through the third house is relatively brief, usually lasting about 2 to 3 weeks, but its impact on your productivity can be immense. To harness this energy, write everything down. Your mind will move faster than your memory. Don't trust yourself to remember every brilliant spark that happens. Stay mobile. If you feel restless, take a walk. Physical movement often unlocks mental blocks during this transit. Be the bridge. Use this time to connect people. You are the switchboard operator of the zodiac right now. Sharing information and making introductions will feel natural and rewarding. Ultimately, this transit is an invitation to re-engage with your world. It reminds you that growth doesn't always require a grand pilgrimage. Often, the most important lessons and opportunities are hiding in plain sight, just a conversation or a short drive away. Subscribe, like, and share.